Welcome to the Underreported Stories podcast. I'm Chrissy Clark, and these are the 5 underreported stories that you need to know. Oh my gosh, guys, it's such a special episode today because we don't just have a reporter. We have one of my best friends here, too. This is so fun. Hey, Kay, how are ya?
I'm good. How are you, Chrissy? Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. So if you guys don't know who Kay Smythe is, not only is she a reporter with the Daily Caller, but she is just so well-versed in a litany of subjects ranging from aliens all the way to economics. She does it all. And so I'm so happy to have her here to break down all the underreported stories. But before we even venture into the world of news, I need to let you know, Miss Kay Smythe, you are engaged. Can we just do that right?
Oh my gosh. It's so exciting. It's so crazy. It's a nice surprise, obviously. And that was quite an introduction. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh, girl, of course.
Yeah, I love just talking about all sorts of different things. That's why I'm excited to be here today. And yeah, I'm even excited to talk about my engagement. And you know me, I'm not really that much into posting about personal stuff on so. Oh my gosh. Tell you what, we got home. John's just I think I'm going to post it on social media. I was like, do it. I was so excited.
So, it's so exciting. Okay, yeah. Did you know? Did you have an inkling, or was it just huge, massive surprise?
It was definitely, I had an inkling because I feel you've just got to be crazy to get engaged and married without having that conversation with the person first. I can't tell you the number of stories I've written up, Chrissy, of just cringe proposals where the woman's just what are you doing? We're at someone else's party. We haven't even talked about this. And so, obviously we talked about it, but he had gotten us tickets to go and see Cat Williams that night. And
That's right.
So I thought we were just going out to do, dinner and then go see some, comedy. And, so it was a wonderful surprise. I'm so excited. You're stuck with me now.
Too. I think it's just so fun because I was thinking about it before we were recording, and I was like, it's so fun that we get to be engaged together because I love my sister so much. She's such a cool girl. She's way cooler than me, but we're so wildly different, and we're in such different seasons of our life, and I appreciate that about her, of course, but it's so fun to go through the engagement season with people who you're best friends with, and it literally makes you closer because you're dealing with the bullshit of planning a wedding together. And it's awful. I know you haven't really started yet, but girl, it sucks.
You are do you know what's so crazy is so you and then 2 of my other very close girlfriends, all of my closest best friends have gotten married or engaged, I feel in the last couple of years, which now that I think about it and say it out loud, it's so crazy to realize. But everyone who's gone through the full-on wedding process, it seems I don't think a wedding is a scam, but I feel all of the things that you have to do around the wedding are just so ripe for scamming. I'm not going to say who this is, but I have a friend who's getting married this year. She gets on a phone call with the caterer who turns around and says, yeah, it's going to be $40,000 to cater your wedding.
What?
Yeah, it's going to be that much money. And we're going to tell you how it should be done.
What?
She's just
I would like your impact or your input, but it's ultimately your wedding. If I want to have a taco bar, which I am at my wedding,
heck yeah,
I want to. Do you know? I don't care if you want a 3-course meal with a chicken that is disgusting anyway because you don't actually do it properly because you're bulking out 200 of these meals. Oh, so poorly done. And you're right. Freaking scam.
It is an absolute scam, and I hope all of the women listening not gonna cave into the scam. That's what I'm hoping. I'm trying to practice so much self-control. We have to find a new house this year, we have so much other stuff that we have to do, so I'm thankfully being able to sort of use the is it within budget line and be very stringent about that, and especially with my family being across the pond, everyone's back in the UK, I can also be well, you guys aren't going to fly out here to be here for this, so kind of just do their own. Anyway, I don't know. Anyone with any tips or advice, please send me as many DMs, tweets, anything as possible. Both of us to get through it.
Yeah, for real. Oh my gosh. Well, speaking of across the pond, that is one of our stories, but I saved it for last because I wanted to get your opinion. But are you ready to hop into the 5 underreported stories?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Okay. But before we hop into those stories, I need to let you know that today's episode is brought to you by Patriot Mobile. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless carrier. When you switch to Patriot Mobile, you're shifting your support from the leftist progressive agendas to the Christian conservative causes of Patriot Mobile. If you're interested in joining the Red Economy, check out patriotmobile.com/Chrissy. That's patriotmobile.com/CHRISSY. Okay, so here's our first story. It comes to us straight out of Denver, which I did not realize was dealing with this whole migrant crisis to the extent that they are. So right now, they are telling their hourly employees that their hours are going to be cut to zero. They're not fired, but their hours are zero so that they can pay for services for people who illegally entered our country and now are up in Denver. Thoughts on this, Miss Smythe?
Okay, so some of you may have been able to gather that I'm a legal immigrant here in
Same,
America.
Girl. Same.
Like, oh my gosh, I always forget that.
I always
so
forget
funny.
that I'm Canadian too.
Oh my gosh, that's so wild. It's great. Yeah, so we obviously, born and raised under the Queen. Now we have a king. Ugh. But whatever. We'll get into that on another episode. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not like bring back Lizzie. Come on. But anyway, so it sort of horrifies me on almost like a spiritual level. Like, America as a country, yeah, the rest of the world can kind of look at America and be like, you guys have made some pretty crazy decisions and done some like pretty silly stuff over the years and some pretty like nasty stuff over the years. But it was always this bastion of patriotism and support for the fellow man that like I really didn't feel like anywhere else that I've been anywhere in the world. So like, and I have a lot of British friends who say it's so much better to live in America because there is that intrinsic sense of community where you want everyone around you to be successful. And your success is not almost like, I don't know, people in the UK can just be horrible when you're successful. And so when I see a country that is literally known around the world for being that way, just completely disregard like any kind of common sense when it comes to protecting the people that make this place great in favor of people who, there are plenty, like this is the other thing that no one talks about, there are so many different avenues to come here as a legal immigrant. Like, is it the easiest thing in the world? No, but it's doable. And I
know, well, this is something, Kate, this pisses me off so much sometimes. So obviously when we immigrated here, I'm assuming you as well, we have to get immigration lawyers, right? And they're not cheap by any stretch of the means. Mind you, I didn't pay for mine because like I was a minor when I moved here. So I just from understanding what my parents went through, it's a very expensive process. And people are like, well, the immigrants, they can't afford it. These migrants, they're asylum seekers, they can't afford it. Okay, well, they're spending upwards of $12,000 on average, $12,000 to the coyotes that are helping them cross into the U.S. illegally. They have the money, they're just spending it in the wrong place. And it irks me to no end that people say, oh, they can't afford it. Oh, they are affording it. And if they're not affording it, that means that they're coming into this country sacked with a backpack full of cocaine, bringing it into our country in order to pay for it. So, yeah, they can't afford it, or they can afford it in a different way. So that irks me. And again, back to the story, it irks me that our people, Americans, not just no matter what skin color, no matter what ethnicity, Americans are losing their jobs for people that are just coming into our cities and doing nothing.
Yeah, and it's also like, I think you bring up such a valid point. So firstly, if you want to come into this country legally, you pretty much have to have like a reason to be here. Like you have to contribute. Like that's how it works.
What a concept.
So I know, right? Sorry if that like bums you out, but that's how it works. And yeah, like one of those reasons can be if you're seeking asylum. I know people who like, especially back in Los Angeles, like people would brag about like bringing their Italian nanny over. Like there are, like, you're not supposed to be able to do that, but there are avenues, well, there were avenues to be able to do that legally for a really long time. There are those systems in place. And also pretty much every immigration lawyer I know will work on a sort of like structured pay scale. And so like for my visa, for example, like I've been on an O visa since I moved out here. When I first came out here, it was not cheap. I think all in with like lawyers' fees, everything I had to pay to the government, which was the Obama administration at that time, it was probably about like $4,000. Okay, so that was like a lot of money to me back then. And now under Biden, everything has gone up to, I think the last time, I don't even know, it was probably like 8 or 9 when it was all said and done.
But relative to my point though, Kay, it's like that's still $4,000 or $5,000 less that you're paying to a legitimate government, and we like to believe it's a legitimate government, over coyotes, right?
Exactly. And it's also like that government, like the government that's normalizing this, the government that's saying like, hey guys, it's okay if you over there in Denver want to stop paying your employees to deal with a crisis that we've created, because this government has actually normalized human trafficking. It's like half these people who are being brought into the country, a lot of them probably didn't even know that there were like legal avenues and ways to do this, where it was a lot cheaper, where it was like actually completely legal, where like we've just set up this system now under this government where if you're a coyote, yeah, absolutely, forget the fentanyl, forget the cocaine, let's traffic in people, let's get them to do it, let's traffic in kids. And like that's the system that disgusts me, because not only are we making Americans poor as a result of this, we're literally taking their money away, but we're enriching some of the most evil human beings on the face of the earth. Like, how sick do you have to be to think that human trafficking is like a way to make money? Like, that's what we normalized. Anyway, sorry, I know. Go off.
No,
on this.
You're not. No, it's just that you said it exactly right. That this, by allowing people in, or by allowing the city of Denver to nix these jobs, that they're failing to even admit that they're actually kicking people off because they don't want to pay for severance, they don't want to pay for unemployment, et cetera, et cetera. So they're just like basically bullying people into quitting. They're doing that, and it normalizes trafficking. It normalizes things that they don't even realize they're normalizing, that if they really sat there and thought about it, they'd never be in favor of. But all right, let's move on to our next story. This is another story that is like prioritizing one group over another. Very disturbing story from our friend Mary Margaret Olahan over at the Daily Signal. She reported that a female inmate, so biological woman, no shit, I can't believe we have to say that nowadays. She was forced to bunk with a transgender prisoner who spends his days masturbating. So let me give you a little background for this. So biological man in Wisconsin convicted of raping his daughter back in August of 22. His name is Mark Campbell. He just decided, oh, I'm going to be a transgender woman. And he's put in the female prison cell instead of the male prison cell. And so now his cellmate, she's a woman, and she feels incredibly threatened by this biological man. Kay, you're not even going to believe this. Because she spoke out about this, because she contacted, I believe, she might be a lesbian, and her wife or partner or whatever contacted the Daily Signal. Because she spoke up in the prison system, she was moved to the psychiatric ward for complaining about the fact that she shares a cell with a masturbating man. I have no words for this story. Please put some in my mouth.
She's a victim of like sexual harassment, borderline sexual abuse. Like she has, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but like, how is this not a case for her to sue the prison system, sue the state, sue the actual individuals who made this decision for locking her in a room with a convicted male sex offender? How is that not secondary punishment? How is that not some form of like freaking torture? That is
cruel and unusual punishment.
It is cruel and unusual punishment. It is disgusting. Listen, like I watched that documentary about that British chick who got done for drug trafficking out in Peru. And she said that, women in prisons.
Wait, what was this?
Oh, you've got to watch it. It's like this British chick. She was so famous back in the day. I can't remember her name now, but she didn't know where Peru was. And she admits this. Like, she's an absolute legend now that I watch her like years into the future. But she basically got wrapped up with like a lot of dodgy people when she was working at a job, I think a bar job in like Ibiza or somewhere. They were like, hey, you're going to fly to Lima and you're going to fly some stuff back for us. She doesn't realize till she's on the plane that Lima is in Peru. Like, she literally doesn't even realize that. She's flying from Spain to Peru. So anyway, she gets given all this like cocaine to fly back. Obviously, she gets busted. all over the British press for like years. It's a Netflix documentary, so addictive,
Oh, I gotta
so
watch
bingeable.
this.
Yeah, it was so good. But she was talking about how at the prison in Peru, there was a lot of public sex between the female inmates. And like, there's a lot of that. It's like Orange is the New Black. So it's sort of like one of those things where it's like, if you're a woman in a woman's prison, like you don't really have a leg to stand on in that situation. Like it's just you're in a really messed up place, like, you know, deal with it. But when you're a woman in any space, you need to be able to feel at least a modicum of safety. And what I feel like that prisoner's done is essentially not only put her in danger by putting her in a room with a man, but now they're putting her in further danger by telling her she's crazy for realizing that that's the most fucked up shit ever. Like,
right,
what?
so I didn't know this. I'm just thinking about this now. Like, what if, because I always think in terms of like reference points, like 2019, I graduated college, and then everything after that, like post-graduation, the world just kind of like changed, specifically with COVID, with the George Floyd, everything. So like the last real normal year was like May of 2019 to May of 2020. That was like kind of the last normal year. What if this woman, I don't know her, I don't know her actual story, I'm just curious, what if she went into prison in, you know, April of 2019 or something like that? Then she's like in the prison, she has no fucking clue about transgenders or pronouns or anything. She's like, people keep coming in and she's like, the fuck? Like that's what I keep imagining is happening to people in prison right now, is they're in there like, do you think Gypsy Rose, when she was in prison, sorry, I'm tangenting right now, but like Gypsy Rose probably got out and there's like pronouns. The fuck?
Literally,
Like, that was not a thing. I thought my life was fucked up. You're talking about your pronouns? What?
Oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought about that, because like I speak to, like, we don't even bother speaking to like our elderly family members about this stuff. Everyone just agrees that Joe Biden has to leave office and then everything's going to get sorted. Like that's as deep as this stuff goes. But like I hadn't even thought about that. Oh my god, can you imagine, even if it's just like say it was like a little bit earlier, right? Like say it was right before Trump announced that he was running for office, and then you wake up today, it's just like, okay, it's going to take like a decade to explain what happened, but it was only like 8 years. Okay. Oh no, it wasn't even that. Oh, like 9 years or whatever it was. I don't even know. But like the way that the world has changed. And like, you just think about our lifespan though. Chrissy, we were the last generation. I'm a bit older than you. So like maybe it was me, but like last generation with landlines. Last generation.
Oh yeah, no, I had
no internet. It's so weird. Oh my gosh.
Of course.
Can you imagine?
No, I can't. And I feel for this woman, back to the story, but like for real now, I can't stop thinking about all these inmates that we have to actually treat like elderly people because they don't know what's going on. They truly don't.
It's crazy. The world's gone fucking mental at this point. Like, this is why I love J.K. Rowling, because she goes off on this stuff, man. Like, she goes off. I'm so here for it.
I know. All right, let's get to some more insane news, because this one is very insane. So the FBI tweeted, which I didn't know that the FBI had a Twitter. Like, what are they tweeting out? Like, recruiting applications for sorority girls that can find any man at a bar? Like, I don't really understand. But they were tweeting out about how much they care about shoplifting, and then they were getting roasted. So I'll read the tweet for you guys. It says, higher prices, dangerous products, and closing businesses. These are just some of the impacts organized retail theft has on Americans. No problem. I didn't see anything problematic with the text. The only thing is that the picture they opted to choose was of a young white female stealing a purse. And if you're honest about the statistics and the data that comes around organized street crime, is traditionally young black males or mid-20s black females. So it was just like such a DEI tweet, and people were pissed about it.
And it's also like, bro, your fucking job as the FBI is to like keep us safe. Do you know what you're doing? Like, do you literally, have you seen the internet? There's this place called like Twitter. It used to be called Twitter. Now it's called X. A guy called Elon Musk runs it. We'll have to get into him another time. Whole other thing. So basically, if you go on there and you type in like smash and grab, spend about 6 hours, you know, just today, you'll just keep scrolling through. You'll see what the problem is. Go be my guest and fix it. Since that's what your being paid for. Anyway, it's my little rant.
I know. I have always said for the longest time, as I alluded to at the beginning of talking about the story, I just think that the FBI would be served very well if they recruited a young class of women who are knowledgeable about finding men on dating age young women. They're so good at this shit. I would give my friend just a first name of a guy I would meet at a bar. I would have his home address, his parents' social security number. Like, I would have everything I could possibly need just for my one friend Shelby, like, doing an internet search. She's so good at it. And I'm like, why are you working where you're working? You need to work for the FBI. The FBI would be better suited with these girls. Instead, they're sitting around mulling over which stock image to use of white girls stealing purses. Kay, I need you to answer this question for me. As a white woman in America, if you were to go and steal something, is it a purse?
No, I like to get drunk and steal boys' hoodies. And then they try and find out where I live. No, this was a long time ago, back in my single days. One time though, I did steal. I was on like the worst day of my life. I've got the video of this somewhere. And the guy was being so rude. And then he like basically pretended to fall asleep. It was like this whole thing. And so he had ordered all this like really fancy food and he had a really nice hoodie. So I took the hoodie, took the food, went home. He calls me as I'm leaving and he's like, hey, have you seen the food or anything like that? I got a notification that it's here. And I was like, no, sorry, I haven't. And then I sent him a video later that night being like, dude, I'm so sorry, because he like got really mad that his food was stolen. And I was like, are you kidding? You've treated me like I'm a piece of, like, I don't even know what you've treated me like, but it's just disgusting. Like, you're just a horrible person. So I sent him a video. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry that someone stole your food, as I bring the pizza up to my mouth. But that was
so you're stealing your ex-man's foods and hoodies.
Yeah, because saying, like, if I was like, don't go into a store and steal stuff. Like, that's literally rule number one of being like, sorry, I have my scrunchie on me because I get so mad when I like pull about this stuff. But like, it's just like, who... Listen, I understand that stuff's expensive. I understand that stuff's like really going wrong in this country right now. There are systematic problems that need to be fixed. But like, people are going and smash and grabbing like diapers or, you know, baby food, baby formula. They're not going and smash and grabbing like loads of meat and bacon and vegetables and maybe just like seeds, because you can literally grow half the food you need at home, even if you live in an apartment. But we'll get into that another time. They're going and they're stealing stuff to resell.
Of course. Did I ever tell you about, we should send that rant to AOC, first of all. Second of all, I got to tell you the story about my friend Earl, who was a homeless man that lived outside my building in DC. I don't know if I told you the story about how he hustled the shit out of me. And he would go and he would get me to buy like innocuous items like laundry detergent or trying to say like cleaning spray or something like that. And I was like, yeah, sure, man. Like, you're asking for such normal things, of course. Then I would go down the street and I would see Earl upcharging the shit I was buying to make a profit. I'm like, okay, this is really what's going on. Whether I'm buying it for him, like being emotionally hustled into buying it for him, or whether people are going in there and smashing and grabbing, it is to make money, which of course you could, you know, blame on dark economic times, but you didn't have to look at the current administration to blame it on those dark economic times. What a concept. Oh, I mean, my gosh.
It's like all such like a cyclical issue, right? Because like if you normalize this kind of behavior, it gets worse. So you have to bring in like some kind of overt policing. And we already know like what happened in the 1990s with like 3 strike and like stop and frisk. Like those laws aren't going to come back. But like, it's almost like one of those like better the devil you know situations where I feel like that is probably going to be a good version of whatever dystopian nightmare comes next, where like someone comes into power and says, actually, no, we're going to overcorrect and start like over policing. Because I do think there are some things that have happened in the last like 10 years in this country that are like common sense laws. But unfortunately, there's like one of them to like the 20 million that were just the stupidest fucking shit I've ever heard in my fucking life. And I thought, oh my God, adults are the ones coming up with these ideas, Chrissy. Adults. Like,
I know.
What?
I know.
So, yeah, like, and then we're going to have this, like, next generation or some future generation who's had like all of their parents put away. So we have the same problem again. And then it's just going to become this like 100-year cycle where it's like, hey guys, if we just made housing affordable, actually invested in the education system and gave people sort of like a purpose better than just being a greedy little I'm designed to buy stuff from the system while being fucking lazy and getting sick all the time because no one tells me that if I literally just eat vegetables, I won't get sick. You know, like there's just like basic educational shit that could happen that could stop these crises from like ever becoming as cyclical as they become. And my cat is yelling at me from outside the door because he does this now when I get worked up.
I can hear him, yeah.
You can hear him? You hear this crap?
No,
anyway.
I think I get what you're saying, and I do feel like it's one of the reasons why I loved being an education reporter for so long is like that issue really can solve so many things, but instead we see blue-haired teachers teaching kids how to do the yiddy or whatever that stupid dance is.
What? What is that? The yiddy?
I forget what it's called. No, gritty. The gritty, I think is what it's called or something like that. Yeah, I'm like, the yiddy. I think that's Lizzo's workout brand.
Lizzo has a workout brand? Oh my God, tell me that's a joke. Tell me that was a joke.
Wait, no, she really does with Fabletics. I'm dead ass. Look it up.
Lizzo.
No, I'm so serious.
No.
Yeah.
Lizzo, the person that looks like she's eaten 12 other people, has a workout brand. Yeah, no, we're so fucked. We're in the worst timeline. I'm good. I'm engaged, don't care anymore. Whatever.
I know. But if you guys are also worried about the future of America, I do need to let you know that today's show is sponsored by Jace Medical. 2024, it's a leap year. Today, actually, the day we're recording this, it is leap day. And you all need to leap into medical preparedness with Jace Medical. This month, when you purchase a medical preparedness case, you can add ibuprofen to your case for just $1. If you need a medical preparedness case, get yours at Jace Medical and support the show with the link below. Okay, into more messed up territory.
Oh, no.
Professors are now claiming that being a Taylor Swift fan is, quote, slightly racist. So, I know I'm really messing with you with this Lizzo stuff, and now
shit.
What's
happening?
This Black Lives Matter co-founder, she's also a professor at, I believe, Cal State LA, and she said it feels, she really emphasizes, she feels it's slightly racist to be a Taylor Swift fan. She said she gets the same feeling about Taylor Swift that she gets when she sees too many American flags. So my question to you is, 1, what the fuck? 2, do you see what she's saying? Like, do you even, I can't, sometimes when it comes to these like, oh, everything is racist, I'm like, I try to like want to see what you're saying so I can dissect it and explain why you're wrong. This one, I'm just like, is it because Taylor Swift is white?
Yeah.
Like, is that really it?
Yeah, that literally is the only thing I think it could possibly be. Listen, like, I am no massive fan of Taylor Swift. I don't know why. I wasn't, you know what I think it is? It's like, growing up in the UK, we had our own pop stars when I was a teenager.
Spice
so I
Girls?
never thought that way. Yeah, like we had Spice Girls. I also loved Robbie Williams. He's like, you know, that's my childhood right there.
Yeah.
But I think that when it comes to Taylor Swift, like, she is undeniably the biggest pop star in the world, other than Morgan Wallen. And I'll die on that hill. I will die on that hill. But I think I was trying to make a joke about like, I don't know, something about the fact that like clearly I'm not a racist because I'm not a massive Taylor Swift fan, so I'm going to side with this lecturer.
No,
but then I'm just like trying to like put it together, and I'm just like, this bitch just wanted headlines. Chrissy, she was
but I was thinking to myself,
Taylor Swift. TMZ will pick that shit up.
Right, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, am I going to like put on Taylor Swift's All Too Well 10-minute version, and at the end of 10 minutes, I'm going to be like, screaming the N-word, join the Klan. Like, that would be like,
all you need to do after listening to a Taylor Swift song is saying like, oh my God, I really hope it works out for her and this Travis Kelce guy. That's all you're going to think. You're going to think, you know what, I'll go read some Nicholas Sparks. That's what I'm going to do.
I always look up her age and I'm like, I cannot believe she's how much older than me.
How old is she?
And still thinks like, I think she's like 34.
Oh my God.
I'm pretty sure.
That's true.
I know. And so
she's
I'm just
dating
like,
an athlete. Oh my God, babe. Sorry. Anyway.
I know. Well, you know what? I've actually had this theory for quite a while that like we look at people. I thought of this whole thing when I was looking at Selena Gomez and the way she acts like a petulant child. I love Selena Gomez, but she acts like a petulant child online. And I think it's because whatever age a celebrity is, you need to subtract 10 years from it because they live in their own bubble where being immature is rewarded. So when you look at somebody that is Taylor Swift, that she is 34, mentally to the outside world, outside of Hollywood, she's likely somewhere between the ages of 24 to 26. And to be singing the songs that she is in that nature, it makes sense that a 24 to 26-year-old would be singing those songs, right? I've always just, I don't know,
you broke my brain.
To that.
You just broke my brain.
I just deflected to that mindset, though, because that's really how they act, right?
That is.
But
Chrissy, you are so on point with that. Like, you and I know celebrities. You and I know some of the same celebrities.
Yes.
I lived in LA for a long time and had friends go from literally being like unrepresented, non-working actors to like leads on big TV shows. And it's almost like there was a line in Yellowstone once where someone's talking about how when someone loses a parent, like when a teenager loses a parent, they're like perpetually stuck at the age they lost that parent. I think celebrities, the minute they get their first hint of fame, that is the age they pretty much get stuck at. Or like that is where they get that tenure. That is, I just love that, Chrissy. I'm never going to be able to look at a celebrity the same again. Also,
yeah, just subtract 10.
Yeah.
It's like men. It's seriously like men. I always say, take a man's age and subtract 2 and take a woman's age and add 2. And that's usually where they're at. So women should be dating older men. Not that I have any room to talk, given that Jake is like 6 months younger than me. And not that you can talk either.
Well,
generally.
Like, John's 3.5 years older than me. But like, I'm a 78-year-old old coal mining man who's grumpy at the world. As you know, that is my personality. And he's just like the nice version of that. But he's having an existential crisis about being 34 years old and like the aging process. Like I just blinked and it like happened, you know? Taylor Swift is not 34.
No,
she's
not mentally.
You are so on point with that. Oh my God, that broke my brain. I suddenly have sympathy for celebrities. Ugh.
I know, what the heck. Okay, group of people I don't have sympathy for is this final story. So there's this controversial new, I guess it's a play or production, and it's called Slave Play, which like, all right. And I wanted to bring this story to you because it's being put out in London. That's where the play goes on. But it's all about race, identity, and sexuality in 21st century America, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, some of the shows are reserved for Black identifying audience. First of all, just say Black people. They're not identifying, okay? They're just fucking Black people. Black identifying audiences only, so they can, okay, this is a quote, watch the play free from the white gaze. And when I heard that, I started cackling, laughing, because if that is not written out, when I was saying it out loud, I'm like, it sounds like they're trying to hide Black people from white gay men. Like a bunch of homosexuals.
Trey, I'm so sorry. We've got some white gays in here today. Would you like a booth to the side? We know how stressful that can be for you. They're going to judge your outfits terribly. Firstly, I don't really think a play like this is going to go over that well in London. Like, Londoners don't give a shit, firstly. Like, British people don't care about America. Like, that's the biggest issue. Like, that's the biggest issue for American comedians trying to get famous in Britain, is American comedians will tell jokes about American politicians and no one outside of America knows who anyone is other than, we don't know who they are. Like, I remember
most people in like Iowa don't know who most of these people are. Exactly. If you're a happy person, you probably don't know who most of these politicians are.
Yeah, you don't spend all day on Twitter. But
it's XK.
Oh, X, whatever. I'm old. Leave me alone. But no, I mean, like, okay, firstly, the white gays, I completely get it. They always judge me so harshly, but we are great. Deep down, bitches. But I just think like it's, I don't know, how do people explain this in 100 years other than like segregation rebrand? Like, isn't that just what this is? Like, don't get me wrong, I love doing the whole, like, you know, girls' night, like, you know, kick the boys out, let's just have fun, let's go. I mean, I've never seen the vagina monologues, but apparently it's chaos. But it's not like, I can understand like that kind of separation, you know, like in prisons where you should have male and females in different fucking prisons. That makes sense. But I just feel like the more that we segregate people, just like the worse this shit gets, man. Like, it's just gonna get so much fucking worse. And it just doesn't seem very smart or kind.
I know. Well, I always think follow the money, right? There's a lot of money in people getting paydays from being race consultants or race hustlers of sorts. And so if you can institutionalize that you're looking for racism all the time and we need to pay people to help us showcase that we're not racist, just follow the money. The same thing's true of the transgender problem. The same, I obviously just explained how I think it's true of the race problem. It is all about the money. Just the funniest part about it is that when it comes to, follow the money of like Wall Street, they're like, yeah, of course I gotta get my dollar, I gotta get my dime or whatever. But you talk to somebody in like the race hustling industry and they're like, no, I'm doing it for the betterment of America and civilization. No, you're not, bitch. You're doing it for a paycheck. Yeah. We all know it, okay?
Yeah. You're doing it to pat yourself on the back, dude. I worked for DE&I companies. Actually, I got rejected for a contract. Oh, yeah, I worked for this one.
You're too white.
Oh, well, that was part of the issue. I also tried to explain to all of the people that work there that their software was extremely racist. And like literally my first day, so their program was based on, it's like something that they give out to private companies like DE&I training or whatever.
Yeah.
They bring me this test, the IAT, which is basically like, you're not really given an option to like think about an answer to a series of questions. Like you're just asked and like shown stuff really quickly, and then it tells you whether you're racist or not. That's a massive oversimplification, but that's basically what it is.
Yeah, Harvard does that.
Yeah, so it's like, you know, it's pretty prolific, but it is one of the most inherently flawed psychological tests I've ever seen. It's like up there with like, what's the thing, like astronomy when you talk about like Scorpio, and that actually
astrology.
Astrology, that's an astronomy. Yes. Oh my God, I write about space. But like an astrology actually has like a little bit more weight to it than a lot of this DEI stuff, because DEI literally just perpetuates all of the stereotypes that it attempts to mitigate. And so when I worked for one company, I was like, I'm going to quit because I hate this place and I hate all of you people for how racist you are. And the fact that I have to keep reminding you that I'm an immigrant while I'm working here, because everyone there was just so, like, most of the people there were just like awful. And it was very toxic. And then
Don't you find it so interesting, Kay, that like you and I are immigrants and that it's not taken into the equation at all. The fact that we could have had completely different experiences from coming from completely different parts of the world, just because our skin color isn't the right color, our perspective is less than somebody who's lived their entire life in America, has lived maybe a great life in America, and has a different skin tone. Isn't that so stupid?
It's so stupid. And it's also like you go to anywhere else in the world and this stuff doesn't happen. Like it just doesn't happen. You know, there are inherent problems, I think, when it comes to normalizing this kind of behavior. And like I worry about what that looks like long term in this country, because I don't know, I was raised where no one gave a shit about what your skin color was. We cared about like what football team you followed, whether or not you liked rugby, and like obviously as we got older, what kind of music you were into and how much you could drink, and could we drink at your parents' house? Are they out of town this weekend? You know, like
things that mattered.
Yeah, things that actually matter. And that's not to say that, like, you know, I would love, if you went from Canada, I would celebrate your heritage all the time. But you're from Canada, it's like with Australians, I can't celebrate.
It's okay.
I'm just kidding.
It's okay. You don't need to. You don't need to.
Celebrate sheep. Like,
exactly. But like we still have, you know, other, I don't even know. It's still an inherent difference that if we're talking about celebrating everybody's diversity, which I don't even say we need to do. I'm just like, it's interesting how it's only a certain amount of people. But anyway, I do want to get to my favorite segment of all time called Is It Real or Is It Satire? A game where today Kay is going to guess whether headlines are real or whether they're satire. But before we get into those, if you guys liked stories like the ones Kay and I just went through and you want them daily, be sure to subscribe to the Underreported Stories Substack. That's underreportedstories.substack.com. There you'll get an email every Monday to Thursday with exclusive underreported stories. You can always get the short version on TikTok and Instagram, or you can subscribe to Substack for longer videos and links to all the stories. All right, Kay, ready for me to mess with your mind?
Yes.
I think one of them is really easy and one of them is really kind of hard. Which one do you want? Easy or hard?
Hard. Someone's going to clip that. Someone's going to clip me saying that. That's going to be a gift. All right.
Yeah, and if someone doesn't, it'll be me. What our friends swear. All right, this first headline reads, MSNBC legal analyst says First Amendment makes U.S. vulnerable and calls for common sense speech restrictions. Do you think legal analysts?
That has to be satire. Like, no legal analyst. No,
honey, no.
What's this person's name? Shame them publicly.
Yes. Okay. Her name is Barbara McQuaid, and she argued that the, quote, deep commitment to free speech makes Americans uniquely susceptible to disinformation campaigns. Oh, of course. Kay, she's a University of Michigan law professor. I knew I hated this bitch the moment she opened her mouth.
Yeah, Barbara, you're fucking terrible. Shut up. No one even cares, Barbara. Barbara's the new Karen. I actually don't think you should be allowed to say words, actually. Okay, then if we're going to censor them, Barbara, let's start with you, since you're so fucking allergic to fun. Spread misinformation straight out of a WEF playbook. She's clearly hard for Klaus Schwab. Anyway, I'll stop. I'm going to get really gross because you know what I'm like. I'll just go off. And this is, we're conservative, good, nice young ladies.
Yeah, sure. I think we've dropped at least 18 F-bombs. I absolutely have to put explicit on this when it goes out. That's okay.
I'm so sorry.
I don't care. I do it all the time. All right, let's get to our next one. This one is Hunter Biden jealous after Donald Trump Jr. receives envelope of white powder.
I mean, it sounds like someone wrote it as satire, but we all know that it's not.
Yeah, exactly. It's so funny because I was like, oh, these two are like the opposite. It's probably true. If you guys didn't hear that Donald Trump Jr. got like a mysterious envelope filled with white powder, and
it's okay to laugh. Good. He was fine. We can laugh.
He's totally fine. But of course, Hunter was like, my favorite Hunter Biden joke is like when he sees like the white. Allegedly, it's like another Babylon Bee headline. It was like, Hunter Biden sees the white tops of the mountains and gets jealous.
I once was called out for making fun of Hunter Biden for being such a cokehead. And I'm like, okay, it's like, oh, loads of families struggle with addiction and all of these problems. I'm just like, yeah, but when you see him in like the freaking Capitol building like this is how he stands. It's my Hunter Biden impression. Looks like he's like, did I shit myself? We don't know. Is there cocaine nearby? Oh, how are we in this situation? That's Hunter Biden. Biden.
Oh my gosh. Actually, my friend texted me. She was, same friend that I said was like FBI level intelligent.
Shelby. She sounds great.
She is the best. Shelby was texting me. She's like on her way back from Thailand. And she was like, Hunter Biden's on my plane. I'm like, Hunter Biden's coming back from Thailand?
On a commercial jet?
That's what I said. He went from LA to DC on a commercial jet, though. Isn't that kind of crazy? I don't know why no one's talking about that.
Safe. That doesn't seem sensible.
He had Secret Service, but still.
Yeah, but it's also like he's the first son. Like if any, like Taylor Swift, if you're going to get rid of your private jet, give it to Hunter Biden because I worry about all of the other people on the plane with him. I don't worry about him. Sorry, it's the West Wing. It's like all like, what was that other one? Designated Survivor. That is like, that stuff scares the crap out of me. I know it's like baby stuff because it's not like actually horror movies and things, but I'm like, what if something like that actually happened? It would be terrible.
It would be.
Yeah, like, I don't know, Hunter Biden on a commercial jet with other people. I was told Hunter wasn't allowed around the general public.
I was told that, that he needs, like, I can't believe like he's allowed to be around these people. Like, I just thought he was like holier than thou. I don't know. It's just so annoying the way they talk about him. Anyway, one last thing before I let you go, babe. So there's this clip from Jeopardy going around. And do you watch Jeopardy at all?
We don't have cable. I know. Oh, okay. We're terrible. We just
we bum off of Jake's parents' YouTube TV. And we only watch Jeopardy because it's usually on before or after Family Feud. And I can't express to you how much I love watching the like comedians that are the families on on the show, and all I want to do is watch Steve Harvey react to people say most ridiculous things. So it truly brings me nothing but joy. But I sometimes get forced into watching Jeopardy because it's on before or after. And I just got to show you this clip. All right, let me show you this.
Parts of speech 6.
Them, theirs, themself. Chris.
What are pronouns?
Those are pronouns, neo-pronouns.
Yeah, so now Jeopardy has gone woke. Alex must be rolling over in a damn grave over this. What would you have said if you buzzed in? What would you have said? That's really the only question
What is mental illness? What is an excuse for people to have something to be sad about in a world where you can literally get anything you want delivered to your house today? Today, anything you want, you can get delivered to your house today. I want different pronouns.
Say them, sir.
It's what? What would you have buzzed in? I think you would have just walked out. You'd have been like, fuck this. And
yes. That's what I would have done. Or I don't even know. What is I'm screaming for attention? What is I should probably be put in an insane asylum?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What is I'm 10 years old and I don't need to show you. I just need to tell you.
Yeah. What is I'm 10 years old and my mom hands me a screen instead of a coloring book and it's not satisfying me anymore because it doesn't help. It just makes me fuck in the head. Anyway.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So true. Oh my gosh. Well, thanks so much for coming on the pod, babe. Where can people find you if they want to get more hilarious commentary?
Oh, you can just find me at the Daily Caller. If you just Google my name, Kaysmythe, you'll find me eventually. And if you want to deal with me, thank you. I like that.
It's a joy and a pleasure. I love you, babe. Thanks for coming on.
I love you too. I'll see you in a bit.
Thanks so much for tuning into the Underreported Stories podcast. Be sure to subscribe and download this podcast or share it with a friend. If you like what you heard, please leave a comment about how funny and intelligent I am. Thank you, friends. Bye.